This week's episode is dedicated to our friend T-Bone and his entire family. We love you guys.
Hi, this is Clark Gillies from the New York Islanders. You're listening to the SND Podcast Show. Go get them, boys.
Welcome to another edition of the S&D Podcast Show on the Schmuck Sports Network, episode 57. This week's song, Division 1.1, Violence in the Season. Dan, how you doing this week?
Great. Episode 52, the Wfan Santana episode.
57.
What did I say?
52.
52. Whoa, way off. That was the John Beeson episode. Episode 57, the Wfan Santana episode.
And the Blake Como episode.
But yeah, forget you. On a sadder note, this episode is dedicated to our good friend T-Bone and his family after the sad passing of his father and their father.
Yes. Our thoughts and prayers to John, Julie, Susan, and T-Bone, of course.
Really sad. If you don't know T-Bone, he's a main fixture on the Blue and Orange Army and Section 329. So our thoughts and prayers go out to his family and hang in there, bud. We can't imagine how tough the situation is. So good luck with everything. On a brighter note, tonight we have a fun-packed show. We have WFAN's own Dan Friedman coming on, chat a little Islander talk. The
NHL talk.
NHL talk.
Because he does Rangers also. He follows the Rangers.
Okay, that's good.
And also get his little take on the Jets because he is a Jet fan.
He's a Jet fan? Okay, we could have him talk about the Jets for a little bit. As well, the Giants season officially mathematically got eliminated.
Jets as well.
Both teams are mathematically out of it. But we still going to preview and recap both games this week. And how can we forget the Knicks and Nets, the both debacle. First of all, we'd like to thank Alex for coming on last week from the Brooklyn Nets fan club.
And Nets have been playing better.
They have been playing better. And we actually have our own Steve recapping the game from Monday night, his first time at Barclays Center. So that's still, stay tuned and enjoy the show.
Yeah, let's go play some more Division 1.1, and we will be right back. Welcome back to episode 57 of the S&D Podcast Show on the Schmuck Sports Network. Once again, that was Division 1.1 with Violence in the Season. That's a fitting song to talk football.
Yeah, the Violence in the Season. You can say your eulogies and your last respects for the New York Giants and New York Jets football seasons.
All right, before we even move forward, I have a championship fantasy matchup. Detroit's defense, pick them up, yes or no, playing the Giants? As bad as their defense has been, think about how bad our offense has been.
Yeah, without Victor Cruz playing, it's going to be a shit show.
Probably without Cruz.
Yeah, I guess so. Who's your defense now?
The Giants.
Giants have actually been playing pretty well.
Yeah, but they have Megatron.
I know.
In Detroit.
All right, so I'm sure you can find a better matchup right now, especially maybe the Reds. Never mind. Hey, you could definitely find a better matchup. But if you want to take the risk on that, by all means, take the Lions for the defense right now, especially with the Giants bringing it onto the field right now.
There's nothing bringing on the field.
Absolutely.
We're going to make that look like the 85 Bears.
Yeah. Honestly, the Giant game on Sunday, we had no shot of winning. We both called Eli Manning having 5 picks. If you listened to our show last week, unfortunately, we know
our stuff.
We watched Eli for the last 10 years, and he has one a year. And with the Legion of Boom, that was an easy call.
Wasn't it like half of them also?
What?
I feel like it was only half of them.
Both of the cornerbacks had 2. Maxwell had 2. Sherman had 2. Grant one of them was on the Hail Mary, but interception.
By the way, I want to say something about that. About the Hail Mary play.
Okay.
Richard Sherman's going to cost them a game. I'm going to tell you why. If you watch that Hail Mary closely, that was probably at what? About the Seahawk 5-yard line-ish?
Yeah.
Inside the 5?
Something like that.
End of the half, pick it off on a Hail Mary, you go down.
Yeah.
He tried to lateral it, and it became a fumble.
Well, I know. Honestly, it was what it is. He's not doing that in a playoff game. It was just that they knew that they had the Giants beat, and they were able to mess around. Let's see. Honestly, the only bright spot I had from the Giants' perspective on Sunday was Their defense.
Oh my God, they should have won the game if it was for their defense.
If they should have gave up 50 points easily. The Giants didn't even get all across the midfield the whole entire game.
You know when was the last time that happened?
When was the last time that happened?
Last home game for Tiki Barber.
Yeah, I remember that game.
Saints.
They
had the one play to Plaxico, which was a touchdown.
And
that was it.
Yeah, but it was just a complete horror show. No one played. And what Tom Coughlin said was absolutely pathetic, which was 100% true.
Wasn't that the year the Saints won the Super Bowl?
No.
It wasn't the year the Saints won the Super Bowl?
No.
Oh, yeah, that was the year before we won our first one.
Correct, yes.
Okay. I was going to say, congratulations, Seattle. Last time we did that, the team we beat us went to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, no. It was hold on. Year before we went to the Super Bowl, it was the Bears. They lost in the Super Bowl against the Colts.
Oh, that's right. Peyton's Super Bowl.
I was talking about the representative from the NFC. The defense, you got to tip your hat to them. They had their backs against the wall the whole game, and they only gave up 23 points. Only gave Marshawn Lynch 44 yards rushing. That is impressive, to say the very least. And
one thing they've done very great, one thing the Giant defense has been incredible was against the run this year.
And it's against the top running backs in the game. So the Giants running game is very impressive right now.
They're 13th overall against the run. They're averaging 107.
Even though the offense played like crap and they were quote-unquote pathetic, like Coughlin said, the defense they were able to keep their head held high, and considering they played the number 1 seed in the playoffs as tough as they were able to possibly can, that was very impressive. And hopefully the Giants could build on that next year when the Giants offense actually wakes up next year, hopefully, and regroups from this horrific season. Let's
we had 4 sacks.
We did. Our defense played really well. It was just unfortunate that our offense was nowhere to be found. We looked like the Jets. Jets offense the other day. And that's saying something.
I said to my aunt's boyfriend Steve, who I was with, we shouldn't even have brought the offensive line to this game.
Yeah,
there was just no point.
It was
we could have played 7-on-7. It wouldn't have mattered.
What was Andre Brown's stat line? He had 11 carries for 14 yards.
17 yards.
17 yards. I'm sorry.
Curtis Painter played?
I guess I turned it off.
Curtis Painter went 4 for 4 for 30 yards.
Good for him. I had family dinner when that happened. So
and so did who the hell is their backup? Tavares Jackson is their backup quarterback.
Yeah, he is there.
2 for 2 for the backup quarterbacks went perfect.
Good for them. Let's move on to this week. The Giants are playing the Detroit Lions. The heavily pressured Detroit Lions. The heat is on, and they cannot handle it.
I'm going to tell you now, if they don't make the playoffs, Jim Schwartz is fired.
Oh, and I think he should get fired. I don't think he's a good coach at all.
This was they were literally given like 3 silver platters for this division.
Yeah, they
Cutler
had
and Rodgers goes down, and they can't take.
Yeah, Stafford hasn't been playing great as late, but the Giants are done for the year. They're gonna be a shell of their own self, and the Lions should beat the Giants. But this is
granted they had the one game in Philly.
Yeah, I'll give a pass on the Philly game, but Monday night they could have won as well, and Stafford
defense played great.
Defense played great. Reggie Bush played absolutely good as well. You just got to he lost on a 61-yard field goal. Got to tip your hat to that, unfortunately. The Lions are going to win on Sunday. The Giants are not going to be. They're going to obviously show up and play, but they don't need this game at all. And actually, it's probably better off so we can get a better draft pick for fans' sake. But honestly, the Lions have so much more to play for, and if they don't beat the Giants, it's just typical Lions, and Coach Schwartz is definitely going to get fired this year. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. They had the title won and locked up, and they let both the Packers and Bears back into the division race, which is scary. And I could see the Bears winning it. The way the Bears have been playing, I could see the Bears winning the division, unless Rodgers gets healthy real quick and does not show rust. But you could definitely see rust. So the Packers are going to find a way to fight, but I think the Bears at the end of the day are going to win the division.
Well, to be fair to the Packers, they were gift wrapped last week.
Oh, 100%. That's another story, which we'll talk when we do our pick selection. It's the same crap every time we talk about the Dallas Cowboys. I'm tired of talking about it. Happy December. When you're up 24 to 6, maybe you run the ball maybe more than 7 times and you would win the game. Especially when he gets over 5 yards a clip. It's
what's funny?
Stupid.
You know what's funny? They let Tony Romo run that offense, and we let Kevin Gilbride run our offense.
It's just really stupid. It's I don't get it. I really don't get it. But we'll get into that in the next football segment. Let's switch gears with the Jets. The Jets actually played a pretty close game with the pretty good Carolina Panther team. It just got out of hand in the fourth quarter. When they blocked the punt, and then it just ended the game essentially. The Jets did lose by 10 points, so the score indicates that it was a lot further than it really was throughout the whole game. Geno Smith played decent. It's just the Jets don't have enough offensive firepower to compete with teams like Carolina and the other teams like that. It was Wilkerson who scored the touchdown, right? Or was it the other defensive
Jets? I didn't see the Jet game.
It was defensive lineman. I'm sorry.
Defensive lineman who scored a touchdown.
Yeah, he was the fullback, and they pulled a Refrigerator Perry touchdown. That was their only bright spot, and all the tweets were, "Oh, he has more touchdowns than Akeem Nicks this year." Who would have thunk that? So the Jets were creative on Sunday. I'll give them that. But for the most part, it was the same old.
Richardson had a touchdown.
Richardson, I'm sorry. I always get Muhammad and Richardson mixed up. Both two young, awesome DEs. Carolina, like we mentioned, Carolina's just the hot team this year, and they're just obviously better than the Jets, and they needed the win, so they got the win. The Jets play the Browns this week. It's going to be a no one cares bowl, but
Josh Gordon, baby. I care. Josh Gordon. 2 leagues, fantasy championships.
Okay, well, the Jets, obviously Jet fans care, and the Jets need to find a win. I think the Jets are going to lose this week. I think the Browns have been playing decent of late. They're like the NFL version of the Islanders. They'll play good the whole entire game, and then they'll find a way to blow it at the end of the game.
Yeah, I see that.
So I'm gonna go with the Browns this week. But I could easily see the Jets finding a way to pull out the win on at home. Do you think Rick Stein keeps his job? I think yes. I think he's done enough to keep his job. I think you got to rebuild. If you gave him a rebuilding assignment after going to 2 AFC Championship games, as much as you're not going to admit is rebuilding, they are rebuilding. And that's the only way the Jets are going to be able to be stable is by keeping the same coach and the same structure and the system. The players
they were just too inconsistent this year to keep him. That's how I say. You can't keep him.
With a rookie quarterback with no any other weapons to give him, you got to give Rex another shot and get more pieces on the offensive side of things. I say Rex is a good coach, and who are you going to hire in place of him? I think Rex is the best option for the Jets right now. I wouldn't fire him. Not a shot.
Well, you can't complain about the defense.
Of course not.
I'll tell you that.
It's like we've been mentioning for the last year and a half doing the podcast. They need wide receivers.
They also need
offensive.
They also
line.
need cornerbacks because they're 20 against the pass.
Yeah, and that's sad to say with Cromartie, and they did waste a top 5 draft pick in Milner. Hopefully he steps up next week.
Top 9. He was the 9th pick overall.
Yeah, so sorry, top 9 pick.
Oh, I really hope he goes against Josh Gordon. Is Cromartie hurt?
What?
Isn't Cromartie hurt? I think they should bench him.
He's been hurt. He's probably done for this season as well.
Yeah, T. Milner versus Josh Gordon. That's got 3 touchdowns written all over.
Yeah, Josh Gordon's going to go nuts this week. He's had a rough rookie year. He can't wait for the season to be over.
By the way, if I'm Cleveland, you have 2 first-round picks this year. You're drafting a quarterback.
Yes, that's a good one.
And you're drafting an offensive lineman.
Yeah.
And you're building around the new quarterback, the guy to protect him, and Josh Gordon.
Yep.
You can find running backs.
Yeah, as you can see with them right now. I actually like the Browns. I like their makeup that they're starting to slowly build.
I think their problem
is they can't find ways to win. They play 55 minutes every week, and then the final 5 minutes of each game they find a way to blow it.
Their biggest problem, they play in the NFC North.
That too.
There's 3 teams in that division. The Bengals are probably one of the most up-and-coming teams in the league. Mm-hmm. Not quite there, but almost there.
Yep.
The Steelers will always bounce back from a bad season.
They'll bounce back next year.
And the Ravens are always a top, middle of the pack team.
Hey,
that's Cleveland's problem.
But they could easily find a way, build some pieces, and become a better team. Do what the Bengals did. But the thing is, with the Browns franchise, since they rebooted the franchise, they've had the same consistent problem. They don't have that quarterback. Kelly Holcomb was their only quarterback to take them to a playoff game. That was the last.
Say too much.
Yeah.
That was a home game, wasn't it?
No, it was a road game against Pittsburgh against.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Not Greg Maddox. Matt Maddox.
The former XFL guy.
Yes, that's how bad that playoff game was.
Wasn't it like nasty weather too?
Yeah, it was pretty.
Correctly.
Yeah, it was 2003.
All right, so both New York teams lose again.
Yeah, unfortunately, but it's good enough for them to maybe gain playoff spots. But can you see the Giants both teams could find a way to win?
You know what's scary? This is the week the Giants can go off.
This is going to be the week the Giants go off because they don't need it. They didn't need it last week, but they could easily find a way to force turnovers and find a way to play hard.
You know what scares me the most?
But the Lions need it so much more that they're going to find a way to win.
You know what scares me the most?
What?
Hammock Sue coming through our offensive line.
Yeah.
Andre Brown and Eli are both
It's not
dead.
going to be good.
It's not going to be pretty on Sunday.
It's not going to be pretty with the defensive line and how our offense has been playing. Offensive line's been playing. So there's going to be 10 turnovers on both sides.
Well, luckily for us, all we have to do is stand in the end zone because all they really do is chuck it down.
The Lions are the second highest team with turnover ratios after us. So it's going to be a long game. Thank God I have Christmas party to go to. So I'm not going to be able to watch most of the game. Thank God.
I don't know what I'm doing. I haven't decided yet.
But, of course, my ear is going to be towards the Giant game, most of it. But thank God my heart's not going to be in it. It's going to be ugly. The next 2 games are going to be ugly. And then the next home game is with Kirk Cousins and the Washington Redskins.
Yes.
So
Shitter Bowl. The NFC Shitter Bowl. But on the right side, they did clinch 3rd place.
Yeah, and that's good.
In the NFC East.
Our schedule next year won't be so tough, so we'll find a way to make the playoffs, hopefully.
Well, we can get into that next week. But right now, let's go with a little more Division 1.1, and we'll be right back.
SND Podcast is in no way affiliated with, associated with, produced, or endorsed by the National Football League or any of its affiliates.
All right, welcome back to the S&D Podcast. We just listened to Violence in the Season by, of course, Division 1.1. Now we will talk a little bit local basketball. The Knicks and Nets both playing in mediocre basketball. Steve went to the game Monday night, the Brooklyn Nets game on Monday night. What did you think of the Barclays Center, since it was one of the first time you actually saw a net game in that arena?
I like the Barclays Center. The team on the other end, sloppy.
It's very sloppy, but they did break the team record in threes that night. Joe Johnson did go off.
To be fair,
and the Nets have been playing a lot better as of late.
The best had to be the stat when they showed on the scoreboard his 3rd quarter stats, and then underneath writes first player in NBA to have 10 3-pointers in a game this year.
Yeah.
And his 3rd quarter stats were 7 for 9 for 3-pointer.
Oh wow! So
and you could tell, all the people around me were confused.
Wow. That's crazy that he got all the majority of his threes in the 3rd quarter. What'd you take out of the game? Even though they both played pretty sloppy, they did play the Sixers.
One thing we talked about with Alex was the Nets offense. Jason Kidd's offense is supposed to be this high pace, running up and down the court offense.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like a lot of teams, like the old school Phoenix.
Yes.
What I saw was pass around the perimeter, pass around the perimeter, pass around the perimeter, deep shots, rebounds, pass back out.
Honestly, that's what their team is built on right now. They don't really have that high-tempo offense yet.
I don't think they're going to get it. Guys like Garnett can't run at high tempo.
They're not, because
Brooke can't run at high tempo.
With the injuries they've had and just the players and the age of most of these players are, there's not they're not going to do that. And that just shows you how good of an adjuster Jason Kidd will be, because he obviously knows that his running gun pace and style of what he wants to coach, bring to the table is not going to fit for that team. And that's just Jason Kidd and the Nets knowing their personnel kind of thing. And it's actually nice to see the Nets actually starting to play better as of late. They've won a bunch of games. They won, obviously, Monday night was one of them. So let's see.
Of course they won. They beat the 76ers. What was it, like 5 or 6 in a row now?
Something like that. Let me get the score. They're unfortunately losing. We're recording on Wednesday night. They're unfortunately losing to the Wizards right now.
I mean, you went into the fourth quarter on Monday against the 76ers, and nobody was on the court. Paul Pierce was still on the court, but that's because he's officially a bench player for that team.
Yeah.
But besides that, nobody else was on the court. The Nets are... Joe Johnson just got hot. The 2 3-pointers he missed in the third quarter were... One of them was the half-court shot at the buzzer, so he just missed that. Just had 4 hands in front of him. Mm-hmm. And the other one was the shot clock was ending. He got the ball in his hands and had to chuck it up.
Okay. Well, you got to be lucky sometimes. And Joe Johnson was definitely that. Brook Lopez actually came back today.
Brook Lopez did not play in the game. He was supposed to play in the game.
He was supposed to play, but he did play tonight. So we'll get the stats next week when we record the show, of course, because we're not going to say you're going to listen to us in a couple days, and obviously our stats are going to be wrong since it's not up to date.
Since the Knicks beat them December 5th, they are going into tonight's game on the 18th, 4-1.
Which is good.
And they only lost to Detroit.
And yeah,
by the way,
they lost to Detroit the other night.
Who's actually been playing very well. They gave the Pacers their first home loss the other day as well. Detroit. The Nets have been playing pretty well. You can't really complain of the way they've been playing, especially after the Knicks debacle that they had a few weeks ago. They're definitely the better team than the Knicks right now out of the 2 teams. Like I said last week, I kind of feel like that was their wake-up call.
That was 100% their wake-up call. You and Alex nailed it on the head. I definitely agreed with you guys. They woke up with the veteran talent that they have on their team, plus with Jason Kidd being through the battles, granted not as a coach. They know that what it takes to be a winner. They have a bunch of NBA champions on that team. They have 2 and 1 on the bench. And they know what it takes to be a team to win a championship. Now they have to get healthy and find a way to compete in the very weak Eastern Conference Conference. Of course, the Heat and the Pacers are the top 2 teams right now, but the Knicks or the Nets could easily find a way to win this division.
The Nets are playing Monday night, 23rd, right before Christmas. They will be hosting the Indiana Pacers.
That's going to be a good true test.
Between now and then, you said they're losing while we're recording?
Yeah, they're losing.
Okay, if they could end up turning that around and ending up winning that game.
There's 8 minutes left. They're down 91-83.
Okay, so let's say they turn around and win that game. And they win Friday at Philadelphia.
Which they easily can.
Of course, we just saw they won by how many points? That would be since the Knicks game. That would be 3, 4, 5, 6-1. 6-1, 5-2 going into the game.
Yeah, it's
versus
more
Indiana.
Likely 5-2.
There's a lot of time remaining in the game.
Oh yeah, there's plenty of time. But
5-2 going into the game against Indiana. Of course, playing a huge matchup. Probably recording against the Miami Heat, which I think is like the 5th time in like 3 weeks that they played each other.
Yeah, they played each other. I think they just got everything out of the way. Who they play the Heat on Christmas Day?
Nets?
Yeah.
Nets Bulls Christmas Day.
Oh, Nets
They're
Bulls.
the first game.
Okay. Just like last year.
Repeat of the playoff series.
Yeah, it is.
Well, they also plan...
It's in the Barclays Center or in Chicago?
Barclays Center.
Okay.
They also plan to have that game as the Derrick Rose on Christmas game.
Oh, fail.
Silly NBA.
The Nets could easily get a couple of games there. And they could be right back in the thick of things, then take over the Celtics spot. I don't expect them to beat the Pacers just the way the Pacers have been playing as of late.
Pacers are Miami tonight, in Miami. Friday at home against Houston. Sunday at home versus Boston, and then have a home and home with Brooklyn.
Okay.
Well, according to their schedule, home and home. You know what I mean? Because they're playing Monday, and then they don't play again until Saturday.
Oh wow, that's a lot of that's nice for them to have Christmas off.
Yeah, they go home to play the Nets on Saturday.
That's nice.
By the way, it's $19 to get tickets back in.
Oh wow. In Indy.
In Indy.
Okay.
Must be nice.
That must be really nice. But that's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see with that long layoff, which I'm sure the Pacers do want and need, especially during Christmas time. So that's going to be nice for them to relax and spend time with their family. Honestly, I don't see the Nets hanging with them anytime soon, unless they all get healthy and they finally gel as a unit and the team finally being able to win. It's nice for one thing to beat the 76ers. It's another thing to beat the Pacers and the Heat.
Oh, yeah. I like what Alex thinks. No offense to him. Don't forget Brooklyn Nets fan club.com.
But of course he's gonna say that because he's a big Net fan, and of course, what else is he gonna say?
Right.
If the Knicks are playing a little bit decent, better team right now, of course they're gonna be able to. I would say the same thing. So
speaking of Knicks, let's change it up to the Knicks. Part of me was thinking about this today. What if they're just? I understand they're not playing well now. But imagine now that Chandler's back, Chandler's returning tonight.
Yeah,
give him a couple games.
Of course.
Don't expect full playing time right away.
He is our heart and soul.
Figure after the New Year's when he's going to officially be 100% back.
He is our heart and soul. I don't care what anybody says about anybody with the Knicks and how much of a cluster they are. He's definitely the heart and soul of the Knicks team.
The scary thing is they could go on a run.
They will. They can go on a run because, like I said, Tyson Chandler is their heart and soul of the team. The minute he went down, that's when the Knicks went on a losing streak. He went down in the second or third game of the season. I was at that game. And the minute he got hurt, the Knicks' identity and, quote-unquote, like I mentioned, their testicular fortitude went down with him. And it's good to have him back to be there on the defensive presence of the thing with this whole cluster with what's going on with the Knicks. And the whole... Thank God we didn't do the show right after that Knicks Wizards game the other day, because I saw your... It was it Facebook or Twitter? You went off. How are you an NBA team knowing you have 3 timeouts? Granted, Prigioni left the game, so technically your third string point guard is not going to handle most of the other team's point guards. So you let them blow right by him. And they did have a foul left. They should have fouled him, which you should have done. Then for some odd reason, like you see like in a CYO, like a Pee Wee basketball team, just push it up the court and then chuck and pray, pretty much what Melo did. It was just one of those scratch your head moments, and you know you have 3 timeouts. Coach Woodson knows you have 3 timeouts. Why didn't you use it, set up a play, and
not just set up a play, move the ball up?
Exactly. You had 6 seconds. Well, you could have easily set up a nice play and got the game over, and the Knicks win. It's just stupid stuff like that pisses me off.
Maybe Knicks win.
Maybe. Just how the way the season's been going. It's really frustrating, and a lot of bickerings going on. And I don't know how Coach Woodson still has a job. Okay. If they do lose to the Bucks on Wednesday night while we're recording, Woodson might be out of a job. It's just been a cluster at MSG. It's just the Knicks don't know how to run things right now. Like the whole thing with Amari Stoudemire. They say Amari Stoudemire is out a couple of days for his knee. It's swelling. And then Amari goes, "No, I'm not. I'm fine. I just played 5 days out of 7. I need a rest," kind of thing. And it's just no one's getting their stories straightened out.
Okay.
And then whole Woodson saying, "Of course, I'd rather have Joe Johnson." They ask him, why aren't you feeling the pressure of like with the timeouts and everything? He goes, I had Joe Johnson to take care of the shots. And then they ask Melo, and Melo goes, I'm not bringing this up. I could easily bring something up worse. So there's a lot of pockets of bickering and everything going on, and they're clearly not a team right now. And it's really scary. It's the team is fractured. I don't care what anybody else says. The team is fractured, and they have to find a way to snap out of it. What's your take on the whole Knicks debacle?
My question to you, though, is the other night, 6 seconds left, they called timeout. Washington setting up probably a double, or even a triple team on Melo.
Yeah.
Who's taking the shot?
Honestly, the way J.R. Smith's been playing that night, I would give it to J.R.
It would either be J.R. or Shumpert, right?
Yeah, I would have gave it.
Who else are you giving that shot?
I would have gave it. I would have gave it to Jr.
Unless you're getting the ball down low to Amari for an easy,
or Bignani.
Anybody for an easy shot.
Yeah,
and you know what? Brioni's the type of player who can hit a shot from anywhere.
Yeah, and he's been proving that he's been good. He's been the second best Nick on the team this year, without a question. He's been the second leading scorer on the team. Mari had a couple moments of good games the last couple of games, and it's really go figure. Mari finally gets better, and then he gets hurt with the knee injury.
Quote unquote.
That's just been the common thread the last few years. You can't really expect much from Amari anymore, and that's what's sad about it. But honestly, with Chandler back, it's going to be better for the Knicks. He is the heart and soul, especially with the defensive powers. He's not going to let the Knicks falter like that, like the Knicks have while he was out for the last month. Who do the Knicks have this week? What?
1-3.
They're going to be 1-3? Okay.
Home against Memphis.
Okay.
At Orlando.
Okay.
Home against OKC on Christmas Day.
Okay, so hopefully they still win at home, but they're definitely not going to beat OKC right now on Christmas Day.
Unless out of nowhere, Westbrook and Durant have sprained ankles.
Unless Melo of old and the Knicks decide to be a team on Christmas Day to prove everybody wrong.
And Westbrook and Durant have twisted ankles and don't play.
Exactly.
That would be actually pretty. That would be like the perfect Christmas present for Knicks.
It is what it is, honestly. And they're in their ugly T-shirt jerseys.
In case you need them, they're $300 for a T-shirt.
Probably, but the Knicks just gotta become a team. I wouldn't be shocked. I don't know if Whitson even gets fired. It's just weird. It's just very weird to me. The whole situation of things going on at Madison Square Garden.
Speaking of coaching debacles, let's go listen a little bit more Division 1.1.
SND Podcast is in no way affiliated with, associated with, produced, or endorsed by the National Basketball Association or any of its affiliates.
Welcome back to the S&D Podcast Show on the Schmuck Sports Network, episode 57. Now we're going to welcome in our buddy, Wfan, Dan Friedman. What's up, Dan?
What's up, Dan? How's it going tonight?
Good. How you doing?
Great.
For you guys who don't know Dan, he's one of the beat writers for Wfan for the New York Islanders. It's a column usually about every week. Is that right, Dan?
Yeah.
Which is a great read. So check that out.
Yeah, so great read. When's your article coming out this week?
Either tomorrow or Friday.
Especially with the Islanders right now, I'm sure you can find a couple of positives or a lot more, even though there's a lot more negatives. Is there any positives coming out of the Islanders right now?
I mean, they're picking up points in games. I guess that's the one thing I would say. It's a little better than it was for most of the Western road trip. Some of those games were just disasters, and at least they're showing something, even if it's not enough. I guess that's a step forward, but it's still not going to cut it. They've got a lot of work to do.
So, Dan, let's get a little background before we really get talking about the Islanders. How did you get started with the whole writing process and all that? Was it from like a young age?
Well, I've always been a writer, I suppose, and I think it was a couple years ago. I started a blog on my own, and just kind of got picked up, and people started to follow, and it just took a lot of time and a lot of effort, and over time I met the right people. I got put into the right situations, and ended up in the running for a gig with Wfan. I ended up beating out some guys who were a little older, a little more experienced than I was, but you know what? They took a chance on me because I haven't even turned 24 yet, and you know what? I'm extremely grateful for the opportunity that I have. So it's been a wild ride, but it's been a fun one.
That's awesome.
No, that's quite amazing, especially being out savvy vets. Only being 20. I'm assuming you're 24 now. Or are you
Almost.
Still 20? Okay. Well, that's very impressive. How long have you been interning? Well, how long were you with Wfan before you got the actual call of getting the new job of being the actual beat writer for the New York Islanders?
Well, I actually wasn't with Wfan before. I had been through a bunch of different places. I had interned for Stan Fischler. I had worked at NBC Sports Network for a while. And so this is kind of something that It was kind of the next step for me. It was the opportunity I was really waiting for all along, that I was kind of trying to break into the first time, those previous times. So it just worked out perfectly, and I couldn't be happier.
Oh, that's really awesome so far. So far, with this being your first season with the Islanders, what has been that beat writing for the New York Islanders? I've been a fan for the New York Islanders for X amount of years. How surreal has this moment been so far for you? Like, what was the first eye-opening moment for you this season?
I don't know. I mean, I guess the first time I really sat down with John Tavares was really it for me, because even in the times prior when I'd been in the Islanders locker room following Stan Fischler around, I mean, that's all I was really doing. I was just following around, not really asking any questions. And then all of a sudden, you just see John Tavares. I think it was in training camp, and you just see him sitting there. And it's just wide open. You just go over and talk to him. And I said, like, really? I'm going to go talk to him right now? I guess so. And over time, it's really, I guess that feeling of, that feeling has gone away. It's more I just go in there and do my job. But I guess the first time it was a little more surreal. It's definitely, the entire process it's definitely been an interesting transition from that first time I was in the press box a couple of years ago. I really felt like the transition from fan to a member of the press, it's not an easy one. Sometimes it's not a fun one, but it's been long, it's been hard, but it's been good in the long run for me. So now I kind of just do my job, but at the beginning it was definitely surreal.
Now that you're the official beat writer for the Islanders, what is, not mentioning Twitter handles or names, what's like the craziest question you've been asked?
The craziest question I've been asked? I would guess whether or not I'm on the Islanders payroll. I don't know where that kind of theory comes from. I really don't. Believe me, I would have a much nicer apartment, a much nicer car, and I just don't know where that kind of idea comes from. I've actually been asked that question multiple times in various different forms. Some not as kosher as some others, but it's that's just one of those things I don't get. You want to say things about me, that's fine. I don't understand how that would actually be a possibility why I'd be on the Islanders payroll. So I guess that's the strangest thing I've ever been asked.
Seems to be the common theme that everybody who's beat writes or writes a blog about the Islanders, I think everybody who writes, everybody thinks they're on Islander payroll. We actually have our good friend, I'm sure you know, Andy Graziano from Eyes on Isles, and he says the same exact thing when we're off air talking to him about it. It's the funniest thing, and we love to joke around hashtag Islanders Twitter. I guess you're acclimated with Islanders Twitter right now, with the sky is falling and everything is going to shambles. What's your take on Islanders Twitter and pretty much the fandom of everybody that's going crazy on Islanders Twitter? What's your words of it? Especially after last night's game, I went straight to Twitter and watched the whole news feed. Everything was Islanders with you, our other friend Dan from Hockey Buzz. It was just crazy to see with all those things. He actually, Alan Hahn, who does the Knicks pre and post game, actually they had a shouting match a little bit because Alan is a big Islander fan. It was kind of comical last night. What do you think with Islanders Twitter?
I don't know what to think anymore. I ran out of words to describe it. I think the real bottoming out was the day that Ryan Strome was a healthy scratch. I think that was the defining moment in Isles Twitter history, for a lot of different reasons. But I mean, it shocks me really. I mean, you look at some of the other bad teams in the area even, and the fan base. They complain that the team. Mets fans and Jets fans, they complain that the team loses, sure, but to the point of skepticism and conspiracy theories that are thrown out there is nothing like the Islanders fan base. I've never seen anything like that before. Just the amount of the kind of things that are said about ownership, about management, about about the officials, about the players. I've just never seen people go to those kind of lengths before about their team. It's disturbing, honestly, because these Islander fans they are knowledgeable, but it's clear sometimes they let that skepticism and emotion really get in the way to the point where they just sound stupid. And I look at other fan bases, I don't see them acting that way. And it's almost embarrassing. I mean, if I were, I would be embarrassed to be part of that right now, honestly, the way some of these people act. I mean, even today, the Islanders tweeted out a picture of some of the players, and they were in a children's hospital, visiting sick children, and people are tweeting at them angrily, saying, "Oh yeah, but they should be practicing." I mean, that just kind of stuff that just doesn't happen with other fan bases. It's just gotten to the point where it's disgusting. And Isles Twitter, I mean, as you know, and as I've dealt with, it's not a fun place to be sometimes, especially not when your team loses 10 straight. As a journalist, it can be very tough to deal with. I mean, sometimes you just look at your mentions and you're just like, how am I going to get through this? Do you even bother touching it? It's just, there's a new thing every day. There's a new conspiracy every day. It's very interesting. Let's just put it that way.
All right, let's talk about a little bit more upbeat stuff, because obviously all this losing talk and last night's debacle, we could talk about it till our faces turn red. What do you think the Islanders need to do to turn things around a little bit, to regain the respectability and pull out a couple of game winning streaks, like the 4 or the 5 game winning streaks? And what do they need to accomplish, since you watched every single moment of every single game, being the beat writer for the Islanders? What do you think needs to be turning around?
Well, I think it's about a 60-minute effort, and that sounds very cliche, but
it's the truth.
The Islanders played for 57 minutes last night, and they lost. So that's really what's going on here. And honestly, the players right now, I guess the guys on that defense, they're just not getting it done. And I do think a shakeup is needed, because at a certain point, you keep losing games. It's a broken record, and nothing is really going to change. And at a certain point, you have to shake things up to the point where the players figure it out and the players get it. And you do need to make a concerted effort to improve the team if you're running those same guys out there every night and they're just not getting the job done. I think that for starters, and again, not to say that it's entirely his fault, but I do think it's time for a change in a change of coach. Jack Capuano, I think for a long period of time, was the right guy for the job. When they were kind of growing up and getting better, and some of the younger guys were kind of developing, I thought he was the right guy for the job then. But when you make the playoffs and you're expected to make the playoffs again, and that's just a totally different ball game. And I'm not sure Jack Capuano is cut out for that kind of thing. I think he's the right coach for a certain situation, and this is not it. You could just tell by his decision making at times. Whether it's through lineups or whether by calling timeouts or not calling timeouts and pushing the right buttons, and he just doesn't do it. And he's just not getting the job done. And I do think that they need a coach, whether it's Doug Wade or someone else, who can just change the pace and maybe show a little more emotion, a little more fire, a little more accountability. And again, just to give the players another kick in the butt, I do think they need it. And if you're Garth Snow, I mean, honestly, I don't know what you're waiting for in terms of making a trade. No one's asking for Alex Pietrangelo and PK Subban, but honestly, there isn't much that wouldn't be an improvement at this point. And you may have to pay a little more than you want. We know Garth Snow likes to make moves that are very calculated, that are precise, that make sense. But you know what? Beggars can't be choosers, and it's not to say that you give up the kitchen sink, but sometimes maybe you need to give up a little more than you'd like for a player just because your team is losing, on a regular basis, and your season, and you're gonna if you want to make that logical move, you're gonna do it at your own expense at the cost of your season. So I don't know what they're waiting for. Honestly, I do think that something needs to happen, something needs to change, because you maintain the status quo and you're looking at a lottery pick, come this summer. So I do think those are the things that need to change. But in terms of the players themselves, like I said, that are on this team now, they need to focus on 60 minutes. I do think over the last couple of games, like I said, I think it's gotten a little better because they are playing better defensively. They've only given up a couple of goals in their last 2 games. They're taking teams to overtime. So you can see a little bit of an improvement, but they're still not getting the job done. And so overall, it's all in part of what they've been doing over the last, several games. They just haven't gotten the job done, and we need to see more. We need to see some change.
Now you talk about making changes. A lot of people right now, of course, are blaming the Vanek-Molson trade. What was your take on that deal?
Well, I didn't like the trade, but it's certainly not the reason that the Islanders have lost as many games as they have recently. I thought it was a redundant move, that's first of all. I thought those resources were better off being spent on a defenseman, which was really the area of need at the time. I mean, they were 7th in scoring at the time of the trade, so I wasn't too particularly worried about the offense. I thought you did have a better shot at retaining Molson at the end of the year, where maybe everyone thought he was leaving at the end of the year, but we all thought Nabokov was leaving last year also. It would have gotten to a point, I think, this is my personal opinion, I think it would have gotten to a point where the Islanders would have realized Molson's their best option in terms of getting a forward back, and they would have said, and even though maybe he wasn't in their original plans, they would have said, hey, you know what, we're going to re-sign him because we know we need him. And I do think they would have come to that realization. I think they would have re-signed him. And Vanek, I'm not so sure there's a very good chance that he's going to stick around. So from that perspective, I thought the better play would have been keep Molson, make a trade for a defenseman, and then keep going forward because you would have been a better hockey team at that point. And if you were going to make a Vanek trade, at least do it as part of several moves that you make. I mean, you can't just make the Vanek trade and expect to be a drastically better hockey team. Like I said, it was a redundant move. So I wasn't particularly a fan of it, but look, Vanek's a great player. He's better than Molson, and it's certainly not the reason why the Islanders have lost as many games as they have. They've lost those games because they have the same issues that they did before the Vanek trade, and those were finally really exploited, and to a huge extent, to the point where the Islanders may have lost any chance of making the playoffs. So it's the inaction since the Vanek trade that's really done them in.
Okay. Do you think that was a move because the Islanders felt that Molson isn't the same player when he doesn't play with Tavares?
I don't know. It's really hard to. I've been struggling to figure that one out myself, honestly. I think they realize that any player is going to be better with Tavares, but at the same time, this is something I talked to with Jeff Marek of Sportsnet before the season started, and he said something very interesting to me. And that, you can't just be some random guy and play with Tavares and expect to do well. You have to think the game on the same level as him. And it takes a special player to be able to do that. Matt Molson has proven that he can do it. He can play at a high level. Not everyone can do it. You can't just throw Eric Bolton on a line with Tavares and expect him to turn into a 30-goal scorer as well as he's been playing lately. It's just not, it doesn't always work that way. And I think that maybe they felt that Molson, maybe a lot of his goals came on the power play, and Vanek is a better player than Molson. I don't think anyone would deny that. So, I think maybe it was just a case of them thinking that they could get a better hockey player here. But it's really hard. I'm not so sure why he wasn't part of their future plans. It doesn't seem like he didn't want to be here. I mean, when he first got traded, he seemed very distraught, very upset about it. He wanted to be part. He thought he was part of the future plans of the team, and clearly he wasn't. And so it's really hard to get a pulse on the situation here. But Garth Snow at the time when I asked him, and he said, it's just a case of giving up a good player to get a good player. And right now, that's the best explanation I've got.
All right. To be fair with Thomas Vanek as well, he also was hurt and he was out for a while. So that definitely stunts the growth of chemistry between him and Tavares.
Well, since then, though, they've been great. I mean, Tavares and Vanek.
Exactly.
I don't know what people's complaints are about Vanek. He's done nothing but play very well since he got here.
Exactly. They need to give it a little bit more time, and they could definitely gel, and we could probably see him back on Long Island next year. With the Islanders playing the Rangers coming up on Friday night is the Islanders' next game in general. What do you think the Islanders need to do for such a big rivalry game between the Rangers to find a way to capitalize and steal 2 points out of the Garden on Friday night?
Well, honestly, I think it's going to be a very similar game to the one they played last night. You're going up against a very good defensive team, a team with good goaltending. I don't expect this to be a high-scoring game. Certainly not the way the Islanders' offense has been clicking lately. So I think it's going to be, again, a matter of just clamping down in those final minutes and finding a way to seal the deal if you've got the lead. Get your goals wherever you can get them. You're not going to get that many. Again, not only because of the way they're playing, but because the Rangers do have a good defense and they have a good goaltending, and you can't expect to run, light it up against them. So I think that for them, they're going to have to clamp down. They're going to have to figure out a way, to catch the Rangers when they're napping, and then when the Rangers turn it on, they're going to have to be able to plug up the holes. And if they can try and build off of the way they played, if they can play the way they did last night for 60 minutes, I think they come away with a win. But obviously, it's easy to say that now, but that's why they play the games.
Exactly, and especially the way the Rangers have been playing at home ice. For some reason, Madison Square Garden teams don't like playing in the new Madison Square Garden. I think they're allergic to the new digs at the Garden. It's the Rangers have been playing actually really poor at the Garden. This has been their longest homestand as of late, and they finally got their first win on Sunday night. So it's really going to be interesting. Both teams playing subpar at the moment. The Rangers are obviously playing a bit better than the Islanders, but it's really going to be interesting throughout the records. Both teams are going to be ready to play, especially with the Garden crowd going to be mixed fans with the Islanders and Rangers. It's really going to be interesting which team shows up and wants it a little bit more.
Last night, that final 5.6. You posted the photo. I've posted the photo. Most Islander fans have posted the photo. Do you think the refs should have blown that whistle?
I don't think so. I mean, the puck was loose. It's just, and remember, the ref is right there looking over the pile, so he can probably see the puck in there. As much as we'd like to think he can't, he probably can. Well, I don't think that a whistle should have been blown there. I think that was just really, really, really bad defense by the Islanders. I'm not sure what they were doing or thinking, or I don't think they were thinking. It was just a matter of panicking, and they have themselves to blame. Honestly, it's not something where you can point at the refs.
Well, if you want to go hashtag Isles Twitter, Jack Capuano should be fired because that's what he told them to do. According to Isles Twitter.
Fair enough.
All Capuano's fault that they jumped on a dog pile.
See, this is like I agree with you at the most part with fire Capuano right now, but at the end of the day, it has to come to the capitalization of what the players are doing on the ice. And like I feel the same way. I'm a big Giant fan, and as well, and it's really like people blaming Gilbride and Coughlin and everything like that, but they can do so much for the player. They can tell the player throughout the whole week this is what's going to happen. Same with Capuano, it's going to happen, and when the game comes on, it looks like their team completely forgets what's going on, and they look like they're not prepared. What do you think the Islanders need to do to get the message across before? Obviously, it's a little too late now, unfortunately, with the last month and a half. But what do you think the coaching staff needs to do to plug it away for these guys to become that playoff team that we were expecting this year? What do you think is the key attribute for that, for the Islanders to come away with a couple quick wins that they need to salvage the season a little bit with?
I think it has to come down to accountability, and I'm not sure there's been enough. Honestly, Jack Capuano, at times he's scratched players, but for the most part he hasn't. And for the most part, practices have not been intense until recently. I was at practice the other day, and he was screaming and he was animated, and that was actually refreshing to see in terms of in terms of accountability. I thought that it was time. I thought it was a little overdue. But it was refreshing to see, if you're a fan, look, that's what you want to hear. You want to hear that the coach is being hard on the players, given the way they've played recently. And I think that there needs to be more of that. They need a kick in the butt. That's what they need. They don't need someone who's going to be their friend and hold their hand anymore. And this is where I do blame Capuano, because and he is a player's coach. There's no question he's a player's coach. He will defend his guys. For the most part, he will not call out people by name. Into the press, he will not call out players by name. He is somebody who will have their backs, but that's not what they need anymore. And they need somebody who's going to get in there, who's going to hold players accountable when they make mistakes. The fact that it took Matt Carkner the other night, the fact that he wasn't benched until that point in the third, I'm trying to remember which game it was specifically. But he should have been benched after the first period, honestly, and it took until like the middle or the beginning of the third period for him to finally be benched. There's just certain things that the coaches are just not doing, that Capuano is not doing. Certain messages he's just not sending. And I think that this team really needs a kick in the butt. And to my knowledge, they haven't gotten enough of that, honestly. They have not been ridden hard enough. It has not been, it's just been way too calm, way too complacent. It's just not the right thing. And that's why, unless Capuano can turn that around, I really do think they need a coach who can show a little more fire and hold players accountable.
All right. How is your New York Islander bingo board coming?
I filled in one last night for a blown third period lead, and the free space. So we got two.
I think Peter Regan lost a couple face-offs. You can do that one.
You may have, yeah, that's true.
Kyle Pozo definitely had a toe drag that he got hit on. Because that play just doesn't work.
Make sure to bring it to every game. I'm sure you'll be able to fill out a couple of them. So.
Well, now that Karkner gets benched in every game, All right, I saw your Facebook post yesterday. How awesome was sitting next to Gordie Howe?
At the beginning, it was a little nerve-wracking. It got much better as it went on. The truth is, it's almost sad that he's 85 and he's not doing too well, and he doesn't talk much and he doesn't remember much, and it's not what I thought it was. It's not what I thought it would be. I certainly got to speak to him for a couple minutes, but it was almost sad to see that he's not doing too well. And obviously it was a great honor to meet Gordie Howe. That's something I'll never forget for the rest of my life. It was just by pure luck that I happened to be sitting next to him. But I'll never forget it. It was definitely surreal, that's for sure.
All right, let's talk a little around the league. Right now, who is your biggest surprise team in the league?
I want to go with Anaheim. The Ducks, we knew they'd be okay, but they've come out really. They came out swinging really. And some of the guys have really stepped up, like Emerson Edom and Nick Bonino and Cogliano. Some of these depth players have really, really stepped up. Cam Fowler has been, back to his form, back to good form. They've gotten great goaltending, whether it's Hiller or Frederick Anderson or whoever. They've just been playing great hockey. So for me, they're definitely the biggest surprise, just not in the sense that they're good, but just how good they've been. I think that they've surpassed expectations. I guess if you want a negative surprise, though, I would say it's the Islanders. I think we all expected them to be way more competitive than they've been. You look at some of the bad teams in the Eastern Conference; most of them were supposed to be bad. The Islanders weren't one of them, and it's really just astounding to see how much they've fallen from grace, if you want to call it that.
Well, of course they went to the playoffs last year and they lost in the 6 games, so automatically the Isles swear are going to the finals this year. Who's your biggest surprise player-wise?
Biggest surprise player-wise? Well, I think it's Alex. I think it's a dead giveaway, but it's Alex Steen. He has 22 goals in 33 games. I don't think anybody saw that coming. He's been a wonderful surprise. Josh Harding, we knew he was going to be a good goalie. We didn't know he was going to be first in goals against and second in save percentage. It may be the other way around, but either way, he's in the top 2 in both those categories. I don't think anybody saw that coming, and what a great story he is. Having come back from multiple sclerosis. That is a feel good story if you need one. And so those are my 2 biggest surprises. And I don't think anyone really expected Thomas Hertl to be in the running for Rookie of the Year, but there he is. So I guess those are my biggest surprises.
You actually mentioned Alex Steen today. He actually signed an extension with St. Louis.
Well deserved.
Yeah.
And of course, the other guy, Harry Arden, was put on the IR today. About an hour ago. What's your expectations the rest of the way for the Islanders?
I think that for them right now, I think the goal right now has to be to get within 5-6 points of that wild card spot by Sochi. If they can do that, then I think they have a shot at this. So right now, it's just about continuing to grind out, continuing to try and get points, stay in hockey games. That's really, they need to just climb back in here. The wins at the beginning are not necessarily going to be, they're going to be small wins, but right now you're just stopping the bleeding, and I think that's the first order of business is to stop the bleeding. Nobody's asking them to go out there and win 9-1. I think you just need to stop the bleeding, just kind of get your bearings, get back on your feet, and then you have to, after that, you kind of have to go on a run. But right now, they just need to turn things around, period. And however they can do that. Again, if it requires a shakeup or 2, which I think it very well does, very well might, then that's what they've got to do. But they have enough talent in that locker room to win more games than they have of late. There's absolutely no question. You want to say they need improvement, sure, but even with the team that they have, there's no reason they should have lost 10 games in a row. You have to be a special kind of bad to do that, and a team that went to the playoffs the year before doesn't just completely, go the opposite direction unless there are a lot of mental issues, unless there's a huge drop of confidence of some sort, and everyone's just mentally exhausted. It's not like they all forgot about how to play hockey all of a sudden. I think that there's just a complete lack of confidence throughout that locker room, resonating throughout that locker room, and it's just not helping anybody right now. I mean, you see it in Josh Bailey, goes in on a breakaway, has all the time and space in the world, shoots it up high. I mean, that was just, I think that pretty much defined their season to this point, that one play. And for them, that they need to get ball rolling, get a little confidence, score some points, and put up some points, and then they can kind of get back on their feet and get going again. I think that's their goal.
Do you agree with what Capuano said about Grabner? I believe it was the other day. I was actually talking to a couple of friends after the game last night, and I did agree with him. The fact that Grabner, despite the lack of goals, is probably playing the best hockey he's played in the past couple of seasons.
Well, that's after the benching. So
yeah, since the benching. Do you agree with that, Dan?
I do, because I see, and I honestly didn't think he was playing bad hockey even before that, honestly. And Grabner's one of those guys who, even if he's not scoring, he's always contributing somehow, and it doesn't excuse the fact that he's not scoring. But we see certain players, sometimes they don't score and they're just totally just flaky. They're just kind of bumming around, and I mean, Michael Grabner's not one of those guys. He kills penalties. He hustles. He creates offensive chances. Even if he doesn't score, you got to follow up on the rebounds. He creates zone time. He creates turnovers. He does so many things, and he is such an important player for that team. And that's why I don't want to trade him right now, because honestly, he does so many things right. And the goal scoring, it's the kind of thing where some players, it takes them a while to kind of figure that out. Even if they're a little younger. Some of these guys, they don't get it right off the bat. And obviously he did. He scored, I think it was 34 goals in his rookie season. And then the surprise kind of was that, the secret was out. And teams kind of figured out, okay, this is what this kid can do. And they kind of zeroed in on him a little bit. And for him, he just lost his confidence. And I think once he gets that back, if he can, he'll be a goal scorer again. I don't buy that he's never going to score a goal again. I mean, the way he's going. But he does so many things right. I do think he plays some phenomenal hockey. He had several hits in that last game. And, he is playing well. I do agree with Capuano on that one.
I definitely agree with you on that with the whole Michael Grabner situation. He just has to find a way to get in the back of the net at the end of the day. What do you think of the goalie situation right now with Nabokov finally coming back from his injury? And what do you think of Poulin's progression or decline, whichever way you perceive it as, for the young goaltender as well?
I think the goaltending has been fine enough for them to win, and that's the thing about Poulin. And his stats aren't going to show it, but he's been playing some really good hockey, and he's been the victim of some just horrific defensive breakdowns. It's literally been open season on Islander goalies this year. It's unbelievable how their defenses literally just let teams walk in, take offensive, with zone time, and just have the perfect shot. And people are quick to point out that that the Islanders don't give too many shots. And that when you have the perfect play, you don't need 4 shots to score. You need 1 or 2. And that's what people aren't realizing. So while Poulin may not be facing a ton of shots, he's facing tons of quality shots. They're all quality shots because the other team has all the time and space in the world to score. And especially when you're a young goalie, you're not going to put out lights out stats. Kevin Poulin is playing the way any 23-year-old up-and-comer would be expected to play. He's showing you something. He's showing you he's got potential. He's showing you he belongs in some role. Not quite ready to be the starter yet, but he's showing you that he can become that guy. And I do think that he will become that guy. You give him a couple of years, maybe even next year. But and then Nabokov, obviously, he came back. It's a huge boost, not just on the ice because he played well, but off the ice as well. He's really a very big mentor in the locker room and on the ice. You were saying the other day how he helps out the defensemen in front of him, some of the young defensemen. He gives them advice when he needs it, when they need it, and he's always like a very calming influence in the locker room. He's just such an important part of the team, and that was missing while he was out. Make no mistake, it was definitely missing, and it was good to see him back out there.
Okay, Dan. Enough with the hockey. I do know you are a Jets fan.
Oh, boy.
So it just keeps going downhill for you.
Are you a Knicks fan as well?
Yep.
And I believe a Mets fan, right?
Oh, God.
Yep.
All right. I'm 3 out of the 4. All right.
Well, let me just step back from the ledge for a second.
Okay. Jeez. You poor soul.
The one question I gotta ask you, in your view, is Gino the future?
I don't think we know yet. Because I think he's shown you something. Obviously, at the end, the second half of the year, he was horrendous. But he's shown you something, and he didn't really have a lot to work with. And I don't think we know enough to know that he'll be the guy, but I don't think we know enough to know that he can't be the guy. Like we have evidence to suggest both. And we kind of have to let time play that out. I don't think he's ready to be a starting quarterback. I think it's the kind of thing where you have to have a starter who can mentor him, and then in bits and pieces you can kind of see what you have in him. But he is not ready to be a starting quarterback. That much we know. Whether or not he's the future, that's a very good question. I don't think we can answer it right now. But he's definitely shown. That there's a possibility that he could be. If he can come back on those interceptions. He throws the ball. He happens to throw the ball very well. He has got a rocket of an arm. And he's got a lot of confidence. And I liked it. Especially in the beginning of the year, some of those games, he'd make a mistake and he'd just pop right back up. And in the next drive, he put together some good drives. And with Mark Sanchez on the flip side, he'd make a mistake and the game was over. So. I did like that. They were things that we didn't like, obviously, the interceptions, but there were things that we did like. So I think we have to let that play out and see how see what happens.
I think with the Jets, they need a wide receiver core. They don't have any wide receivers for their quarterbacks to throw the ball. And that really cripples their quarterback's progression in growth.
Not only that, the offensive line has been horrendous. It used to be the strength of the team, and now it hasn't been.
Exactly. Oh, all right. Since we found out you're a Met fan as well, what before you leave, what are you excited with what the Mets have done so far with the offseason of signing Granderson, Chris Young, and Bartolo Colon?
I am, because they're showing a pulse, and that makes me happy to see. The last couple of years you've had absolutely nothing to look forward to. I almost was waiting for the press conference to say, all right, where's Minaya? Like, come on, he's definitely back, right? Just to see them spending money. It was nice to see. And Curtis Granderson is obviously going to help their outfield. He's another bat also. Bartolo Colon again. I think they have a solid rotation. Whether it's between Wheeler, Nice, Colon. Obviously they're going to do that Matt Harvey this year, but I think they have a solid rotation. No bullpen whatsoever, of course, like they did last year, like they didn't have last year. But again, I like that they're being proactive. That's refreshing to see. It's the first step. So I think maybe they'll be watchable this year. Which would be a huge step forward.
All right, since you are part of the Wfan family, what's your take on the Twitter battle that happened between Joe Beningo and Matt Harvey last night?
I'm not even going to comment on that. I just. It's. I'm gonna let those two deal with it themselves.
Did you see all kidding aside, did you see the picture? They photoshopped Joe Beningo's face into and V's body of Matt Harvey kissing, and
I didn't see it. I'm gonna be honest.
Evan retweeted it, so you're definitely gonna retweet and favorite that.
And I will take a look.
Yeah, definitely go take a look. It's one of the funnier sights you'll ever see.
All right, if I told you at the end of October that in December the most exciting New York sports team that you like would be the New York Mets, would you have believed me?
No, not at all. Not at all. I would have said you're crazy.
With the way the Islanders are playing well, and
the Jets are playing respectable.
And the Mets weren't spending money yet.
Yeah. It's a complete reversal.
Hey. Oh, well. Only less than 60 days till pitchers and catchers.
It's going to be great now.
Well, Dan, at Dan Friedman WFAN?
At D Friedman WFAN, yeah.
D Friedman WFAN. Check him out.
He's a good follow, by the way.
He is a great follow, especially during games.
Yeah, he's my link to games more times than not. So keep up the good work.
We appreciate you joining us.
Anytime.
Again, at D Friedman WFAN, check him out. We're going to go play a little more Division 1.1, and we'll be right back.
SND Podcast is no way affiliated with, associated with, produced, or endorsed by the National Hockey League or any of its affiliates.
Welcome back to episode 57 of the SND Podcast Show on the Schmuck Sports Network. Once again, thanks to Division 1.1. Violence in the season tonight basically discusses New York sports. You ask me.
Yeah.
Grabs it perfectly. Before we get into picks, let's go over clinching scenarios for this week.
Go for it.
Right, NFC or AFC?
Let's cluster. We'll go with the NFC.
Okay.
No, I'm sorry, AFC, since there's only technically one spot to be filled.
Okay, well, Denver has a spot. Indy's got the South. Kansas City's got a spot. Denver gets the AFC West and a bye with a win. KC loss. Home field advantage with a win. KC loss. New England loss. New England clinches the East with a win.
Mm-hmm.
Or a Miami loss.
Gotcha.
Get a bye with a win. Cincy loss. And Indy loss.
Okay.
And they get a playoff spot as long as Cincy loses.
Gotcha.
Cincy clinches the AFC North, I apologize, with a win and a Baltimore loss. They clinch a playoff spot with a win and a Miami loss.
Okay. So it's very attainable for those two
Baltimore gets a spot with a win, Miami loss, San Diego loss.
Okay.
Miami gets a spot with a win, a Baltimore loss, and a Cincinnati loss.
Okay. That's
it for the AFC.
Okay. How about the NFC now?
NFC. Seattle is the only team in.
Okay.
They get the division and home field throughout with a win.
Okay.
Or a tie. San Francisco loss.
Gotcha.
New Orleans gets the division and a bye with a win.
Okay. So they just win and
They're win and they're off. They
Okay.
get 2 weeks off, basically.
Got it.
They get a playoff spot with Arizona loss or a San Francisco loss and an Arizona tie.
Okay. A little less realistic, but okay.
Carolina's in with a spot, which makes the Carolina-New Orleans game interesting this week.
Yeah, lots riding on the Carolina.
They also get in with a tie Arizona loss, tie San Francisco loss, or if they lose, both Arizona and San Francisco lose.
Okay.
San Francisco gets a spot with a win.
Okay.
Interesting. They get a spot with a win or an Arizona loss, or if them and Arizona both tie.
Okay. They are my Super Bowl pick from the beginning of the season, so hopefully they win. They are starting to get hot, so make me look good.
Okay. Philly clinches the division.
If they win and Dallas loses.
Win and Dallas loss. Now,
here's the funniest thing that I heard today. Well, I've been hearing. If Dallas does win, Eagles could bench their players on Sunday Night Football and not worry about Sunday Night Football because the game on the next game, Week 17, is for the division regardless.
oh yeah, so just bench everybody and save them for the following week. Hosting a playoff game the next week anyway.
But they're not doing it. It's in Dallas, by the way. So it's
all right, fine. Play the first half.
Yeah, that's what's going to happen. It's going to be interesting to see with that. Let's start with the picks.
Hold on, we got one more clinch.
One more clinch? I'm sorry.
Detroit game's huge.
Well, of course.
Chicago wins. Detroit loses. Green Bay loses. Chicago gets the division.
Well, that would be crazy to see.
By the way, speaking of what you were mentioning, game being in Dallas, big Bears have won bigger games in Cowboy Stadium than the Cowboys.
Fair enough. Super Bowl.
True.
Yeah, very true.
All right, let's do some picks. Ready to go down the list?
Yep.
Miami at Buffalo.
I'm going
with Thad Lewis starting.
I'm going Miami, just the way Miami's been playing the last few weeks. Granted, it's going to be a cold Buffalo. I'm going to take Miami, especially how they beat the Steelers in Pittsburgh a couple weeks ago.
I honestly think Miami's going to the playoffs.
I agree.
So I'm going to take Miami. Minnesota at Cincy. I'm going to go Cincy.
I'm going Cincy. Cincy's at home. Their splits at home and the road are crazy ridiculous. And I'm going to obviously take the Bengals.
Okay, I have the Bengals as well. This is it because this could end up being one of the first AFC playoff matchups.
I'm going Chiefs. Just the Chiefs have been playing better. The Colts have just been roughed up last month and a half. The Chiefs are gonna find a way to get to Andrew Luck, and I think the Chiefs are gonna win.
Actually, I'm gonna take Indy in this game. In KC.
Upset pick?
No, not my upset pick. But I'm going to take Indy and KC.
Okay.
I think this is going to be the game that's going to ride Indy into the playoffs.
Okay.
I mean, they already clinched the playoff spot, but it's going to be the game that they're going to gain that moment.
Okay.
Tampa at St. Louis.
All right, this is going to be my upset pick of the week. I'm going to say the Buccaneers are going to pull out the upset against the Ravens. Rams, I'm sorry. Rams played great last week against the Saints. They're going to be a little high, flying high this week, and overlook on the Buccaneers, who have been playing tough this whole entire season. It's just not as good of a caliber team like the Saints. So it's going to be the complete overlook on that team, and Buccaneers are gonna find a way to pull out a win at the end of the day. So that's my upset pick, the Bucks.
I'm gonna go with the Rams.
Smart pick.
I'm gonna go with the Rams. I like the way they played last week.
I'm just being ballsy, and I'm gonna pick the Buccaneers this week for my upset pick.
This is my upset pick.
Okay.
I'm gonna the Redskins over the Cowboys.
Okay, I'm going Cowboys.
I like the way the Redskins played last week against the Falcons.
Yeah, but normally after the Cowboys find a way to choke a game, they tend to play good the next week. I think the Dallas is going to find a way to pull out a win. They need to find a way to pull out a win and have week 17 against the Eagles mean something, and not have the Eagles clinch the division before they even have a chance to defend it. Granted, it's their fault for not winning the division.
Okay. Carolina plus 3-point favorites.
I'm taking Carolina. Just the way the Saints have been playing on the road is just atrocious. They're a completely different team from the Silverdome. I'm taking the Panthers, and Cam Newton is going to have a field day against their defense on Sunday. How about you?
I'm going to take the Saints. I think they're pissed off from last week. I'm going to take the Saints in this game.
Fair enough. I think the Panthers are pissed off from a couple of weeks ago of that butt kicking, so I think that carries a little bit more merit.
For some reason, I can't like the Panthers. I just feel like I'm going to start favoring them because of the way they've been playing.
Yeah.
And then it's just going to turn around and...
Fair enough. That's all fair enough. Fair reasons. But I think at the end of the day, they're going to find a way to win. I think the Panthers owe a win after how badly they got outplayed that 1 week, couple weeks ago against the Saints on the road.
Okay. Who do we got next?
Texans and Jaguars. I'm going
Tennessee and Jaguars.
No, that's what I mean. Titans and Jaguars. I'm taking the Titans.
We take the Jags.
Okay.
I like the way they're playing.
All right. Next game, we're gonna have the Broncos over the Texans, of course. Then we picked the Giants to lose against the Lions.
Seattle should destroy Arizona and the Arizona season.
The Steelers at Packers. I'm going to take the Packers because I think Aaron Rodgers is going to come back and play.
I'm going to take the Steelers. I don't think he's 100% yet. Aaron Rodgers. It's just going to be one of those. If he could play and bring up.
Okay. And let's see. Chargers at Raiders. Raiders at Chargers. I get the Chargers winning. They've just been on fire as of late. They're on a 2-game winning streak. They beat both Manning brothers in a span of 5 days. So a little less than 5 days. So very impressive in that. And your primetime games, the Patriots at Ravens. I'm gonna go with that's 4 o'clock. I'm sorry. I'm gonna go with Patriots. You know what? I'm going with Patriots. I'm finding a way to get the win in Baltimore, especially on how close they lost the other game against Miami. I think they're going to clinch up the division this week.
I am taking also the Patriots. You can't piss off Belichick and Brady.
Yeah.
1 week and expect them not to win the next.
Yeah.
Sunday Night Football.
Bears at Eagles. I'm going Bears, just the way the Bears have been playing and how the Bears wide receiving core has been this whole entire season. Just too beastly for the Eagles defense. I mean, the Eagles offense has been playing decent, but I just like how hot the Bears are going to been playing, and they're going to win the division. They're my division pick, so I'm going to for that North right now.
The Bears because I don't like the Eagle defense.
Yeah, I don't like the Eagle defense at all.
They can't stop the pass, and you're going to go up against Brandon Marshall and Alshon Jeffrey.
And the Monday night game,
final Candlestick Park game.
And Monday night, which they were hoping for a good game, it was the last year's NFC Championship game. We both are going with the Niners. The Niners are red hot. They're closing out the Candlestick Park the right way they should. especially with their rich tradition of championships and everything like that for the San Francisco fans. It's going to be a nice night in San Fran, and they're going to close it out the right way.
I can see it as well. I agree 100%. Thank you once again, Daniel Friedman, for helping us.
Absolutely. It was a great segment. I hope you enjoyed, everybody that listened to it. Thank you for his insight. He does great work for your WFAN and CBSSports.com. Well, the New York version, which you can go on WFAN, and the links are right there. It's great to see someone like our age being able to handle it with the big boys and being able to be a press guy for a professional sports team. So I think got to tip your hat to him, and great to see how hard he's working and how great his product has been so far with his first season with the Islanders. So keep up the good work for him. Thanks again for coming on. Once again, this episode was for our good friend T-Bone, who lost his father this week.
We love you, T-Bone.
Get well soon. I know it's going to be a tough road, but we're here for you if you ever need anything.
As on Isles, Blue Line Station.
Yep.
Don't forget
our
those
thoughts
guys.
and prayers are with T-Bone and his family. So if you haven't messaged T-Bone, he's always liking and retweeting all our stuff. So if you're friends with T-Bone, I'm sure if you haven't already, send out your condolences because it's really sad stuff. But at the end of the day, hope you enjoy.
So he is a contributor for Eyes on Isles.
Yeah,
that's why I mentioned them.
Yes. At the end of the day, enjoy your sports and have a great weekend. Enjoy your weekend.
Yeah, enjoy the weekend, everybody.